Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today I have got a very special first look for you guys, because we are going to take a look at an early pre-production prototype of the upcoming X-Men, the animated series 1/6 scale Jubilee from the folks over at Mondo. That is right, we get to get hands-on with this Jubilee figure ahead of its sale date. As I mentioned, this is a pre-production sample, so what we're seeing here is close to final, but might still be tweaked a little bit, improved upon by the time the figure is ready and is in your hands. But we're still going to take a look at everything that it comes with. We're going to check out all of the accessories. We're going to do the articulation. We're really going to give it a good look. And we're going to start with the box here, because the box is incredibly cool. As you can see, it features actual storyboards from X-Men the Animated Series. It's got this great black and white look with this beautiful brand new image of Jubilee right there on the front, which is awesome. This image actually comes from Dan Wiesenmeyer, who worked on the original series. He was the original storyboard artist, and that is how we got this awesome stuff for the box here. Now there is a flap on the side that opens up and it reveals the figure within. You can see we got a window that showcases our Jubilee figure, as well as some information on the inside flap there. So extremely cool packaging, and something that they are going to be doing all throughout this X-Men line, so it'll be nice and uniform all throughout. But let's go ahead and get Jubilee pulled outside of this box and get a closer look at the figure. All right, so we've got our new Jubilee outside of the packaging. Let's start with the tape measure here so that you can see that the figure is shy of 10 inches tall. So she's actually right at about 9.5 probably, with the way her hair is spiking up there. And I think the best way to kind of show a comparison is for any of you out there that might already have Mondo's Wolverine from the same series. If I bring him in and stand him alongside Jubilee, you can see she comes up to about his shoulder there. So Wolverine is right at 11 inches tall, with the points of his mask driving a little closer to the 12-inch mark. So Jubilee is the shorter of the figures in this line so far, only coming up to about Wolverine's shoulder. And looking at some still shots from the animation, because she did feel kind of small here, but looking at some still shots from the animation, while the animation is a bit all over the place, it does appear that most of the time Jubilee is standing up to about the shoulders of the adults in the show. So that seems to be what Mondo based her off of here. And that way we can get a look at what Jubilee looks like alongside the more adult characters like Wolverine in this animated toy line. So she is smaller, but still appears to be in the proper scale. She's an absolutely gorgeous looking action figure. Mondo did an incredible job of modeling the look off of the animation. I mean, she looks as though she jumped straight off the TV screen. We do have that cell shaded paint deco going on here. It's really prevalent in the pants, so the jeans shorts that she's wearing there. You can see the deep black lines on there, as well as the darker blues kind of on the sides of the jeans, where it really kind of gives you that cell shaded look. But you can see the same thing in the yellows on her gloves. Like on the left here, the glove is a much more solid bright yellow, but then we got some darker yellow on the fist there, and then the darker yellow kind of on the sides of her glove and her jacket sleeve over here. So you can see that kind of two-tone paint deco again coming around onto the back side of her jacket as well, her trench coat like jacket there. You can see we got some deeper yellows kind of worked in there, the dark black lines. So they're really doing that to kind of give it that animation vibe, and you can see it in her hair up here as well, where there is some streaks of almost like this dark purple that's kind of worked in with the deep black of her hair. That kind of gives it that animated look. You can see those kind of streaks on the front there coming down in front of her glasses as well. So it is really nice. The paint deco is bright and vibrant, really does have that animated like vibe to it, and all of it is very clean on here as well. So really good looking action figure. So I mentioned that trench coat that she's wearing there. The piece that is on the body, you can see it is made of a softer, more pliable plastic, which I do really appreciate. You can see it's very, very flexible there, so it should not get in the way of any of the articulation of the figure whatsoever. The sleeves themselves are molded, so they are not actually part of the jacket, but it's part of the sculpt of the arms. So this is a harder plastic up here, and then same with the gloves as well. So the only thing that's kind of that softer plastic is the overcoat that is on the torso there. So let's go ahead and talk about that articulation before we really get into all of the fun extras that we've got with this particular figure. So that head is on a ball joint, which is swappable. Lots of different portraits with this figure that I'll be showing you here. But you can see it can look left and right. It can roll around there. Decent amount of movement. The arms can go outwards at the shoulders there. Very tight ratchet joints, so you can kind of hear that clicking, or at least see that clicking as I'm moving it. Very tight joints there. The arms can also move forwards and backwards, again with that same kind of ratchet there. We do have swivels right at the part where the exposed arm meets the trench coat sleeve there, so it's sort of like the bicep swivel. Again, these are very tight on there as well, but then we do have a simple single joint there at the elbow. And then the wrists are also jointed. As you can see, we got ball joints there. They are on these like squarish like pegs that plug in, and that's for swapping the hands. But then there are ball joints there that allow the hands to swivel as well as hinge slightly there. So decent movement there. We've got a cut at the midsection there, which rolls all the way around. And then we also have the ball joint there at the waist, which is just right where the the midsection there kind of meets the hip within the pants, so it can swivel side to side, rolls all the way around. Good range of motion there. We do have the ball and socket joints at the thighs. This is about as far out as the legs can come because of the sculpt there. You'll also notice that they are molded in like the just the skin tone underneath, but there's some blue kind of scraping off on them just from being rubbed up against on the pants. It's on the inside though, so it's not really noticeable. So you can still move the legs forwards and backwards as well. And doing this is really nice because it shows that there's really not a lot of paint rub or any paint rub whatsoever happening here. This is where I was kind of worried about it, but you can see it's staying nice and clean, so nothing is scratching off there, which I do really appreciate. We do have double joints at the knees there. Nice and tight. Now the legs are painted with that skin tone, but you can see also molded in the skin tone underneath. So you are going to have a little bit of paint scraping when you first bend those knees, and you can see kind of the exposed just flesh tone plastic underneath that. But otherwise it does look nice there. And then you got the swivel at the boot cut with the ankles that do have a hinge. You can see it can move down, up, as well as side to side, a bit of a rocker there as well. So all in all, it's a decent amount of articulation, which should allow for some good poses, and it is a very sturdy figure. I will give props for that as well. All of the joints are nice and tight. She stands really well on her own. However, just like the other figures in this line, there is an included figure stand if you want to use that for. Now with Jubilee, we actually do get a C-clamp stand there. So you can actually put her on that. You can bend that clamp kind of around her waist there, whatever works best for you. And that way, if you want her on a base, you've got a base that can hold her up there as well. So this is where things get really fun because we get to talk about all of the included accessories because Jubilee comes with a ton of them. And Mondo always crams a bunch of interchangeable parts in with their 1/6 figures, but I feel like with her being a smaller scale, like she gets extra stuff, and that is really, really cool. So first of all, lots of interchangeable hands here. You can see right now I've got her with the closed fists, and I just showed you during the articulation. It's very easy to pull these out of socket. They're kind of like these squarish shaped pegs that will plug into the wrist sockets there, and we can swap those out for a variety of different poses. We also have two hands that are sort of extended as if she's maybe going to use some of her powers. We have two hands that are in a bit of a gripping pose. I'm going to go ahead and put one of those on right there just so you can see how that works. And then we also have one hand for the left with an extended finger, and this one's great because it does have little sparkly pink sparkles coming off the fingertip there, which is really cool for a great pose as well. Now, these gripping hands that I showed you, they could be gripping hands. You could also just use them however you want, if you want to like extend it or make it look like she's, doing like a grasping pose of some sort. But what those are also good for are some of her other fun accessories, which come in the form of a little boat of nachos, or maybe they're French fries with ketchup on them there. That's probably more likely what they are. And then we've also got a Slurpee cup, which is really fun as well. This is super fun because I love these mall-centric type accessories, right, for our 90s teenage Jubilee character. And she's so photogenic that just mixing and matching some of these parts with these different accessories is a ton of fun. And of course, that brings in all of the interchangeable heads as well. We have so many interchangeable heads. So right now, I've kind of got her with just the standard look on her face, just a relaxed look with her glasses up. However, we do also have glasses down. We've got glasses up with a smiling face. I do love this one quite a bit. And then, of course, you couldn't have a Jubilee without a bubblegum blowing head as well, which is really awesome. And then we've got this really funky bonus head. This is a fairy tale elf head for Jubilee, which comes from one specific episode of X-Men the Animated Series that was titled Jubilee's Fairy Tale Theater. It doesn't match the outfit that she's wearing in that show at all, but it is still a fun nod to a really fun episode of the series and gives you something extra to display with her as well. And if that's not enough, if you get the Mondo exclusive version, you also get another head where she's wearing a skateboarding helmet, and you get a skateboard and knee pads. This is super cool. So the knee pads, you can see they are very pliable and flexible, just like her trench coat there. And then it's got a little clasp on there so that you can put these over the knees and you can clasp them on the back. They're a little hard to get attached. You just gotta kind of flex them until you get the little clasp fastened there on the back. Not too difficult. And then the skateboard itself, it doesn't actually have rolling wheels. They are just static and in place. But this is still really great if you want to get a really unique look for Jubilee with the knee pads on, with the skateboarding helmet, holding onto her skateboard or standing on it, whatever you want. It's super fun and just another cool way to display the character. And just to show you the head swap, it's actually fairly easy to do. You can just pop the head right off the ball joint there. I do want to kind of show you that like the back of her neck does get some black paint scratch from the hair. I think that's just from the way that I'm pulling it upwards. So the black is going to scratch a little bit on that paint. Luckily, this is on the back and it's not something that you see when the head is on because it covers it. But it is something that I always like to point out on stuff like this, just because you don't want to scratch up the front of the neck for sure, and you shouldn't. That shouldn't be a thing that happens. But then you should be able to easily take the other heads and just pop them down onto the ball joint so that you can swap those out for multiple ways of display. And she's extremely photogenic. That's one of the things I really realized with this figure, is that she is so fun to photograph with all these different parts. And we are not even done yet, because we also have to talk about the other hands that have her mutant powers. Look at this. So first of all, we do have a pair of hands that are shooting these great star kind of sparkles here. They're pink and gold and very shiny and pearlized. They sort of look like what you see in the intro to the show. Look at this. So it's easy to pop those hands on there, and now you can pose her with these great kind of sparkly effects shooting off of her hands. It is extremely cool looking, and she balances really well while holding those up there, which is really nice. And in addition to that, we also have sort of like this heavy blast. We got a pair of these hands as well. These are incredibly cool because I love the paint deco on these. They have this really great metallic kind of fading between blue and pink and yellow. It is absolutely gorgeous. So same with those. You can easily just pop these hands out of the sockets. We can put these new hands in place here. And then we can get some great poses with her shooting these spark type powers forwards. Now, the one thing I will say about these is that they do have a bit of weight to them. So you will have to find a way to kind of balance her arms so that you can get her posed with those kind of aiming forwards there. But as you can see, there is some weight to them, and it does kind of do that thing where it causes like her to fall forwards a little bit, or kind of even lowers her torso there. And I do worry about stuff like this where, like, if you pose this on your shelf, over time they may start drooping a little bit just from the weight there. But otherwise they look incredibly cool, and you can see, like, I can find a way to get her balanced and she stands just fine there, and it looks really, really cool. But yes, I do want to just say that, like, I know stuff like this on a lot of action figures, like, over time it is going to cause them to droop or fall down off the shelves, so that might just be something you want to watch out for when you're posing her this way. But otherwise, I absolutely love their inclusion. I think they are so fun, and I love that she's just got so many different ways to pose her. Like I said, highly photogenic, lots of great action shots or different ways that you can pose her around with all those different portraits. I think she is a super fun figure. So there you go, my friends. There is an early look at one of the pre-production prototypes of the upcoming X-Men, the animated series 1/6 Jubilee from Mondo. I want to give a very special thanks to Mondo for allowing us to get a hands-on look at this ahead of its sales so that we know what to expect with it. They did mention that this is still kind of an early sample, so they're tweaking things, they're tightening things up, so there might be some things you see in this video that are improved upon by the time the final figure does arrive. Now, this figure does go on sale on the 31st of January. Make sure you guys check out mondotees.com. Also, don't forget that the Mondo exclusive gives you the extra skateboard stuff, like the pads and the skateboard and the helmeted head for Jubilee. And then the figure is scheduled to ship starting this summer. So extremely cool stuff. Once again, very special thanks to Mondo for sending this over, and thank you guys for watching this video. Until next time, my friends.